so many videos today. I'm really just trying to catch up. I've got so many topics I want to talk to you about, and who knows when this baby will come. I am 36 weeks and 2 days today, and baby could come anytime from 37 weeks. I mean, I really doubt it. So I probably have another 4 weeks to go or more. But who knows what mood I'll be in and how I'll feel about getting in front of the camera. So here is another video. And what I wanted to talk today, or in this video about, is hypnobirthing. And in particular, does it really work? And I think this is a really interesting topic because there are so many skeptics out there about whether hypnobirthing works. And I mean, I've even had, you know, whether they're men or women, or whether they've given birth or not given birth, or they've finished giving birth, or they haven't yet given. Anyway, you get my drift. There's people of at all different stages of their life. But in particular, as a hypnobirthing practitioner and a woman that's used hypnobirthing, I've always just been a teensy bit surprised when some women will hear about hypnobirthing and they're pregnant, and so they've got the opportunity to learn about it. But they're just like, oh, it just doesn't sit, I don't know, sit well with them, or they feel skeptical about it, or maybe it doesn't fit within their philosophy. Anyway, so I've obviously come to accept that and just go, well, you've got to do what works for you. And if it doesn't fit within your belief system, then you could do a whole lot of work changing your belief system, or you could just go with the flow and work within your belief system and do work with other tools to make it a positive experience. I'm certainly not suggesting that you have to do hypnobirthing to have a positive experience. I've been a doula for many clients who haven't used hypnobirthing and they've had some lovely births. So I've certainly learned a lot as a doula, and you know, witnessing the power of women and giving birth using a wide range of tools. But for me, as a pregnant woman, I am so in love with hypnobirthing. And so, of course, I'm going to say hypnobirthing absolutely works. But I do want to be realistic about it. I want to talk about the broad range of experiences and, yeah, possibly the different perspectives in relation to hypnobirthing. So I do have a few notes to keep me on track for this one. I just wanted to make sure I covered everything. All right. So first of all, what does hypnobirthing mean to me? Okay. Hypnobirthing for me is very empowering. I love that the tools come from me. It's not, and they're very common sense tools. And at least half of the tools are normal tools that other women use in, you know, say active birth techniques, or just like natural birth techniques. So it's not reinventing the wheel. A lot of this stuff is common sense, or going back to, for want of a better word, ancient wisdom about birth. And but I love that the tools are within. So it's not needing a device or a contraption, or not that I have anything against TENS machines, but you know, like, that's a device. And whereas my hypno tools, I can access anytime. They're in my mind, and I guess in metaphorically speaking, they're in my heart. So I find that really empowering. And yeah, so that's basically what it means to me. And I know that overall, the hypno tools and hypnobirthing, the main aim is to help women feel confident and feel positive, and to have a positive birth. So it's not about dictating how the birth progresses, because there are some women who will need assistance for, you know, they might have medical complications before the birth, or medical complications might arise during the birth. And it's totally, hypnobirthing is not about saying you have to birth a certain way, but it's saying, here are these tools that can help you have a positive mindset to set you up for a positive birth, and to give you the best chance of your body just being able to do it itself. And if you need a little bit of help, having the tools, like the mental tools, the decision-making tools to be able to cope with a change of plans, to feel confident, to be able to communicate with your care provider, and even with your partner to, work together as a team to make these decisions so that you still feel like you've had a positive, empowering experience. So that's what hypnobirthing means to me. Okay. Now I could sum up the effectiveness of hypnobirthing, or how hypnobirthing works, under 3 sort of main categories. At the very, very least, I believe that hypnobirthing will help you be more positive. So it will help you change your mindset and understand how to relax, and understand how and why relaxation is so important to facilitate a positive birth. So having an understanding of the physiology of birth and how relaxation can help with that. And so you'll understand what your body's doing and what it needs. And I guess this is really, I experienced this sort of level of hypnobirthing. Maybe I shouldn't call it levels. I don't want to say, you know what I mean? So I don't mean levels. I just mean this sort of hypnobirthing experience I had with my second birth with Kai. So it was still what I would describe as, I felt some level of discomfort, aka pain, right? But I had a totally different mindset, and I felt like I could do something about it. I had the tools that I was using to help me through that. And so it just really changed my mindset, helped me feel more positive, and it would have resembled very much so an active birth technique. But this is what I mean. They're all of these different techniques are really working toward the same goal, and that is for you to have a positive birth. So anyway, so that's one outcome with hypnobirthing, or one of the sort of types of experiences that you can have with hypnobirthing. The second type is that it can totally, actually maybe there's only 2. Anyway, so the second type is that it can totally transform how you experience the pressure waves or the contractions. It can totally transform your experience. So I guess instead of, sorry, I shouldn't break it down into 3. I'm confusing everyone now with my babble. But on one end of the spectrum, at the very least, hypnobirthing will help you have a more positive attitude. It will help you feel empowered and have tools to cope with the birth and to deal with different things that might crop up. Okay? On the other end of the spectrum, it can totally change. Like, this is where you see these amazing videos where mothers are completely calm, completely quiet even, as they breathe their babies out, and they've just been almost silent the whole time. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but this is sort of the range of experiences. I feel like on this end of the spectrum, where they've had this experience where it's totally transformed, it's totally, polar opposite to the woman screaming in pain and, screaming for an epidural and whatever, the stuff you see in the movies. This is, what was I saying? This sort of experience, women may actually describe their birth as painless. They might say it was completely comfortable the whole time. And they'll just use completely different language. And then I think there's a whole range of experiences in between. So it's kind of like a spectrum. And all of them, in my view, are hypnobirths. If you're using hypno tools, it's a hypnobirth. And you can even, I'm very proud to be with a Hypnobirthing Australia practitioner, because we also have a positive cesarean course for mothers who are having a planned cesarean, and they can still use all of the hypno tools and to help them have a positive experience with their cesarean birth. So, because it's all birth, and they're all bringing a little life into the world and into their family. So I feel like I've had one experience at this end of the spectrum in my second birth where it changed my mindset, and I had a much better experience. I had tools to deal with the sensations. Then my third birth, I feel like it wasn't quite up at this end, because particularly at the end, it was very intense. Like at the end of the birth, it was very intense. So I wouldn't describe it as this. I did use vocalization, and this vocalization is awesome. Okay, so if you want to make noise, make noise. It's still a hypnobirth. But it wasn't kind of like, you know, in a kind of state the whole time. But it absolutely changed how the sensations felt. There were times where I couldn't even tell when I was having a pressure wave. So, you know, particularly in that early part. And I do credit the hypnobirthing, the visualizations, the scripts, and conditioning my mind that to how quick that birth was. Because I think you can. I think your beliefs and your your expectations really can influence your actual experience. So I was expecting it to be fast. I was visualizing it being fast, and it was incredibly fast. So I'd say that's sort of in the middle of the experiences. And for this baby, I would really love to experience a birth that's similar to that sort of, and I'm not going to be disappointed if I don't, but I'm certainly, I've had a lot more exposure to hypnobirthing. I've been teaching hypnobirthing for 2 years now, and I've been a doula at hypnobirth, so it's not just my own births or reading birth stories, but I've actually witnessed hypnobirths, and it's all, you know, gone into my mind. Like, I totally see it as a possibility. But one of the things is that there's some things you don't have control over. So if there was, you know, in my third birth, there was a cervical lip, and that was creating physical discomfort that had nothing to do with the hypnobirthing not working or whatever. It was just that there was physical discomfort from the cervical lip and pushing against the cervix. So there can be physical aspects that might impact how effective the hypno tools are, or there might even be, you know, how much practice you do that might affect how effective it is. Maybe there's some beliefs. So in my third birth, a good example of beliefs is when I was struggling to figure out whether I was having a contraction. In my mind, the reason I was having trouble figuring it out is because I was still thinking it's meant to hurt. And so see how my mindset had been changed a bit, enough to be so relaxed to go, it's okay, whatever it feels, you know, bring it on. But when we were trying to time it, I was still thinking it's only a contraction if it hurts. So I wasn't really registering, you know, when my tummy was going tight, I was thinking, is that a contraction? Is that really a contraction? Because it's not hurting. So there was still an expectation, there was still a belief that contractions must hurt, and they don't. They don't have to. Of course, sometimes they do, or many times they do, depending on who you talk to and what tools they've used and what support they've had and what mindset they've been in, whether they've been induced or not induced, or, you know, there's lots of different scenarios. But yeah, your beliefs, if you haven't done enough work changing your beliefs and your expectations, then that could influence how you experience it physically. And of course, the other thing that can really impact the hypno tools and how you experience birth is what your environment is like. And I mean your physical environment, so where you're giving birth, and also the support that you have around you. And by that, I'm referring to your care providers, I'm referring to your partner and how supportive they are, or what their philosophy of birth is, and because their beliefs impact you in that birth space, and whether or not you have any additional support. So for example, a doula or a friend, or, you know, a family member. So again, I'm not saying that you have to have a doula to have a good birth, but it depends on how you feel emotionally to, you know, whether you feel completely supported, and you might feel completely supported with just a midwife and your partner, and that's fine. It's all about whether you feel supported or not, and whether, you know. So I'm not saying it has to be a doula or it has to be whoever. But if you feel supported, that's going to change how you feel and how you experience the birth itself. So in summary, hypnobirthing, number one, hypnobirthing absolutely works. I promise you it works. At the very least, on this end of the spectrum, it will change your perspective. It will change your mindset and help you be in a more positive mindset in preparation for birth, and have a more positive attitude during the birth, which will help your body to work properly. On the other end of the spectrum, it can absolutely transform how you experience the sensations altogether. And some women describe it as completely painless. And then there's women who have experiences all in the middle here, somewhere along the spectrum, with different levels of discomfort, but this overall arching, concept that birth has been empowering, and it absolutely reduces the discomfort and pain when you relax your body. If you are tense and you are fighting it and you are scared, those things are going to create more tension in your body, and it's going to hurt more. So that's where you get, a whole range of different experiences about how birth feels. And I do want to mention, just sort of in closing, that everyone's experiences are valid experiences. It's absolutely valid that women have had traumatic experiences, and women have felt extreme amounts of pain and distress for various reasons. Maybe it was physical, maybe it was psychological, but their experiences are valid. What I like to highlight, though, is that it seems like in society, we're only hearing sort of this end of the spectrum, the really heartbreaking stories, and the stories, the traumatic stories. And we need to recognize, particularly women who are preparing for birth, women who are pregnant and who haven't had a good experience before, need to recognize that there are so many stories of women having amazing experiences, whether or not they've used hypnobirthing or not, whether they've experienced discomfort or not, but they've described their births as beautiful, as positive, as empowering. And we need to recognize those as well. We need to sort of see the balance and see that there's a whole range of experiences. And with hypnobirthing, I feel like in most cases, it's all up this positive end. And even within the positive end, there's a spectrum of experiences, but it's all, the aim of hypnobirthing is to get you into that positive zone and have a positive experience so that you can look back on your birth with a sense of gratitude and a sense of joy. So that's my little take on hypnobirthing. I'd love to hear your experience. Have you tried hypnobirthing? If you're looking for a hypnobirthing practitioner, go to hypnobirthingaustralia.com.au. There's lots of practitioners around Australia, and we even have a home study course now as well. So there's no excuse. If you'd like to access hypnobirthing, there is a way to do it. Or get in touch with me if you need any tips. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you and what your experiences have been. I'll talk to you later. Bye.